14 winters, 14 summers, 5,110 days. Sarah Chen stopped existing on a Tuesday, November 12th, 2010. She was 23 years old. She had a shift at the hospital at 7. She never clocked in. What exists now is not Sarah. It's a case file. Number 2010-11-4473. A box in the basement of the Henderson County Sheriff's Office. 3,000 pages of interviews that went nowhere. Fibers that meant nothing. DNA that, in 2010, whispered secrets no one could translate. Until January 2024, when a computer in Virginia finished a calculation that started 14 years ago. Sarah Chen was not supposed to be remarkable. That is what her mother, Eleanor, told me. That is what makes this unbearable. She was a nursing student at the community college. She worked overnight shifts at Mercy General, cleaning surgical instruments. She was saving money. She had a boyfriend, David, who worked construction. They were going to move to Portland in the spring. November 12th, 2010, was unremarkable weather. 47 degrees. Overcast. Sarah left her apartment on Birch Street at 5:47 p.m., according to the security camera at the laundromat across the street. She was wearing blue scrubs, white sneakers, and a gray winter coat she had bought the week before. She was carrying a Tupperware container with leftover lasagna. She was going to eat it in the break room. She walked past the laundromat. She turned left on Hawthorne. She entered the blind spot. There are 17 cameras between Sarah's apartment and Mercy General Hospital. She appears on 4. She never arrives at the hospital. David reported her missing at 9:15 p.m. The desk sergeant, a 20-year veteran named Patricia Okonkwo, took the report. She later told investigators she knew immediately. The young ones, the responsible ones, the ones with plans, they do not vanish. Something has taken them. The search began before midnight. 50 volunteers, 3 police dogs, the hospital parking lot, the alleyways, the wooded buffer between Hawthorne and the interstate. Nothing. 3 days later, a survey crew marking utility lines found Sarah's white sneakers in a drainage ditch 3 miles from her route. One was tied, one was not. Both were soaked with November rain and something else, something that would take 14 years to name. The autopsy, conducted by Dr. Samuel Reeves, established cause of death. Manual strangulation. Time of death, between 6 and 8 p.m. on November 12th. Location of death, unknown. The drainage ditch was a dump site, not a crime scene. Dr. Reeves collected evidence, fingernail scrapings, skin cells under Sarah's fingernails. A single hair, not hers, caught in her coat zipper. Semen. All of it preserved in 2010. All of it then, useless. In 2010, DNA testing could tell you one thing with certainty, whether a sample came from a human being. If you had a suspect, you could compare. But Sarah's case had no suspect. The DNA was a voice speaking an unknown language. The national database, CODIS, could only recognize voices it had heard before. This voice was new. It echoed into silence. Detective Marcus Webb led the investigation for 18 months. I found his case notes, all 2,400 pages, in the Henderson County Archives. He interviewed 147 people. He cleared 147 people. He followed the boyfriend David for 6 months. David had been at a job site until 8:30 p.m. 43 witnesses. He was destroyed by grief, not guilt. Webb followed a registered sex offender who lived 2 blocks from Hawthorne. Alibi. He followed a coworker who had asked Sarah out twice. Alibi. He followed a stranger who had been seen in the laundromat that evening. The man was waiting for his dryer cycle. Alibi. In May 2012, Detective Webb requested a transfer to the Fraud Division. His final case note, dated June 3, 2012, reads, "No further leads. Evidence preserved. Case suspended, pending new information." Victim, Sarah Chen. Justice. Pending. The box went to the basement. What happens to a case when the world moves on? Sarah's mother, Eleanor, can tell you. I interviewed her in February 2024, in the same house on Birch Street where Sarah had lived. Eleanor is 71 now. She's kept Sarah's room unchanged. She's kept something else, too. a journal. Every month, Eleanor wrote to the sheriff. Every month, she called the cold case unit. Every year, on November 12th, she held a vigil in the hospital parking lot. For the first 3 years, reporters came, then nothing. But here's what Eleanor did not know. Here's what the public rarely understands about cold cases. They are not abandoned, they are waiting. In 2018, the FBI launched a program called the Investigative Genealogy Unit, IGG. The technology had existed in theory since 2018, but the infrastructure, the databases, the algorithms, the legal frameworks, took years to align. The science is this: DNA is not just a barcode, it is a family tree. Your DNA contains segments inherited from your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. If you have enough of these segments, you can reconstruct ancestry, not identity, but relationship. In 2019, a company called Parabon Nanolabs began offering forensic genetic genealogy to law enforcement. They had solved the Golden State Killer case in 2018. They had proven the model. But there was a problem. A bureaucratic problem. A resource problem. Parabon charged $5,000 per case. The analysis took 6 months. The results required a dedicated genealogist to interpret, and most police departments, including Henderson County, had no budget line for cold case DNA genealogy. Sarah's case sat. The technology existed, the money did not. Until 2023. In March 2023, the Department of Justice allocated $50 million in grants specifically for cold case genetic genealogy. The application required 3 elements: unsolved homicide, preserved DNA with no CODIS hit, and family consent. Eleanor Chen had never stopped giving consent. Detective Lisa Morales, who had inherited the cold case unit in 2019, submitted Sarah's case in April 2023. She told me she had submitted 11 cases. She expected to wait 2 years. She waited 8 months. On December 4th, 2023, Parabon Nanolabs delivered a report. I've seen this report. It is 847 pages. It is not a name. It is a family tree. The DNA from Sarah's fingernail scrapings, the skin cells she tore from her attacker's arm as she fought, matched a genetic profile that led to a common ancestor born in 1892, a woman named Margaret Holt, in rural Tennessee. From Margaret Holt, the genealogists traced 7 branches, 432 descendants. One of them was the source of the DNA under Sarah's fingernails. The tree narrowed to 3 brothers, born between 1978 and 1985, all living within 200 miles of Henderson County in 2010, all with juvenile records, sealed, all with alibis that had never been tested. Detective Morales had to work backwards. She needed to eliminate 2 brothers to find one killer, or find evidence that included all 3. She started with the oldest, Raymond Holt, born 1978. He had been arrested in 2009 for aggravated assault. The case was dismissed. He had been living in Henderson County in November 2010. He worked as a mechanic at a dealership on Route 9, 3 blocks from Hawthorne Street. Raymond Holt had never been interviewed in 2010. His name had never appeared in Detective Webb's files. He had no connection to Sarah Chen. He had no criminal record that would have flagged him in CODIS. But he had a brother. The middle brother, Daniel Holt, born 1981, had moved to Florida in 2009. He had traffic citations in Miami dated November 14, 2010. He was eliminated by geography. The youngest, Paul Holt, born 1985, was more complicated. He had been living with Raymond in 2010. He had left Henderson County suddenly in January 2011, moving to Oregon. He had been arrested in Portland in 2015 for domestic violence. His DNA had been collected. It was in CODIS. It did not match the sample from Sarah's case. This should have eliminated the Holt brothers, but Detective Morales understood something about the science. The sample from Sarah's fingernails was a mixture. It contained Sarah's DNA, obviously. It contained the attacker's DNA. And it contained a third profile, faint, degraded, possibly contamination from the drainage ditch. The CODIS match to Paul Holt had been against his full profile. The sample from Sarah's case might only contain partial alleles, enough to indicate relationship, Not enough to confirm identity in a database search, but enough for a warrant. On January 8, 2024, Detective Morales presented her evidence to Judge Harriet Chen. No relation. She requested a search warrant for Raymond Holt's DNA. The judge approved it based on the genetic genealogy, the proximity, and the timing of Paul Holt's sudden departure from the state. Raymond Holt was not arrested. He was not informed. On January 12, 2024, he ordered coffee at a drive-thru on Route 9. He discarded the cup. A sheriff's deputy, following protocol for surreptitious DNA collection, retrieved it. The cup went to the Virginia lab. The lab ran the profile. On January 19, 2024, at 3:47 a.m., the computer finished its calculation. The DNA from the coffee cup was a match to the DNA from Sarah Chen's fingernail scrapings. Probability of random match, 1 in 4.3 billion. Raymond Holt was arrested at his home on January 22, 2024. He did not resist. He did not speak. His wife, of 8 years, who had met him in 2016, told detectives he had never mentioned Sarah Chen. She had never heard him mention 2010 at all. The interrogation of Raymond Holt lasted 6 hours. I have reviewed the video. It is not dramatic. It is crushing. Detective Morales conducted the interview. She did not raise her voice. She did not present evidence immediately. She applied a technique called PEACE. Preparation and planning. Engage and explain. Account. Closure. Evaluate. It is the standard in the United Kingdom. It is designed to reduce false confessions. Morales began with history. She asked Raymond about his childhood in Tennessee, his move to Henderson County, his work as a mechanic. She asked about his marriage, his stepchildren, his routine. Raymond answered. He was calm. He made eye contact. He asked twice whether he needed a lawyer. Morales told him he was free to leave at any time. He stayed. At hour 2, Morales introduced the concept of genetic genealogy. She explained it simply. She did not accuse. She said, "We're using new technology to look at old cases. Your name came up in a family tree. That doesn't mean you did anything. It means we need to understand why your DNA might be present." Raymond Holt said, "I don't understand what you're asking me." Morales showed him the family tree, the connection to Margaret Holt, the 3 brothers. She said, "We know it was someone in your family. We need to know if you can help us understand what happened." Raymond Holt was silent for 4 minutes. The video shows him looking at the wall. His breathing, visible in the rise of his chest, became irregular. Then he said, "It was a long time ago." Those 5 words. 14 years compressed into grammar. Morales did not react. She said, "Tell me about that night." Raymond Holt's confession, transcribed, occupies 37 pages. I will summarize what matters. He saw Sarah Chen at the laundromat. He had been drinking. He had been watching the dryer spin for 40 minutes, waiting for his work uniforms. He saw her leave. He followed her. He did not know why. He still does not know why. On Hawthorne Street, between 2 streetlights that had burned out in October and were not replaced until December, he approached her. He asked for money. She said no. She walked faster. He grabbed her coat. He did not plan to kill her. He planned to take her purse. But she fought. She scratched his arm, the DNA source. She screamed. He put his hand on her throat to silence her. He did not let go. He carried her to his car, parked on a side street. He drove to the drainage ditch. He did not look at her. He covered her with branches and a discarded tarp. He drove home. He washed his hands. He told his brother Paul he had hit a deer. Paul Holt, interviewed in Oregon in February 2024, confirmed this. He said Raymond had been different after that night. He said Raymond had insisted they move to Oregon in 2011. He said he had never connected the move to Sarah Chen's case. He had never connected anything until detectives explained genetic genealogy. Paul Holt will not be charged. He is a witness, not an accomplice. Raymond Holt worked as a mechanic for 14 years after killing Sarah Chen. He married. He became a stepfather. He attended church. He was, by all visible measures, rehabilitated or hidden. In the interrogation, Morales asked him how he lived with it. Raymond Holt said, "I didn't think about it. I made a box in my head. I put it in the box. I never opened the box. Until January 19th, 2024. When the box opened, Raymond Holt was charged with first-degree murder. The trial is scheduled for October 2024. His defense attorney, Maria Santos, has indicated she will challenge the genetic genealogy warrant on Fourth Amendment grounds. The case may establish precedent. But that is not the end of Sarah Chen's story. I attended the press conference on January 25th, 2024. Sheriff David Park spoke, Detective Morales spoke, then Eleanor Chen spoke. She is 71. She has arthritis. She stood at the podium for 11 minutes. She said, "I never believed in closure. I believe in continuation." Sarah continues in every case that is solved, in every family that does not give up, in every detective who keeps the box in the basement. She said, 14 years is not justice delayed, it is justice insisted upon. She thanked the technology. She thanked the genealogists in Virginia. She thanked Detective Morales. She did not thank the system. The system had failed for 14 years. The system had required a $5,000 private contract and a federal grant to do what should have been possible in 2010. There are 250,000 unsolved homicides in the United States. Approximately 100,000 of them have preserved DNA evidence. As of 2024, genetic genealogy has been applied to fewer than 2,000 cases. The bottleneck is not science. It is money. It is training. It is the willingness of jurisdictions to admit that old methods failed and new methods must be funded. Sarah Chen's case is not unique in its tragedy. It is unique in its resolution. For every 14 years later story, there are thousands of cases where the DNA still whispers, and no one has built the machine to listen. I want to end with something I found in Detective Webb's original case file. A note, handwritten, dated November 20th, 2010. 1 week after Sarah disappeared. He wrote, "The evidence will outlast us all. The question is whether we will be here when it speaks." Marcus Webb died in 2019. He never knew the answer. The evidence spoke. It spoke through mathematics, through databases, through the persistence of a mother, and the curiosity of a detective who inherited a box. It spoke Sarah Chen's name. This is how a cold case thaws, not with drama, not with genius, with time and technology, and the refusal of some people to let the dead be filed away. 14 years later, Sarah Chen is not a case file. She is a precedent. She is a promise to the 250,000 families still waiting in silence. The box can be opened.